Well, I hope you're enjoying Deano's story. I'm going to cut it short so that my intros to his stories are even shorter. Enjoy.
So let's talk about the recommendations that CAFCAS now have the power to do once they finish their so-called investigation. So let's just get this right. CAFCAS come into my world in September 2022, and like I told you, I rung the lady. That's me introducing myself, as her email said. I had that 4-minute interview, as the previous chapter explains, and that's my entire contact with CAFCAS. So I just want everybody to know that my entire contact with CAFCAS is me ringing them to introduce myself, as their email said, then their 4-minute interview with me. That's it. Based on that, they have created a 35-page report and recommendations to the judge. So on April the 15th, 2022, I was an amazing daddy and had been for 10 years. I now haven't seen my son for 2 years. I've got CAFCAS, have now done a 35-page report. They've never met me. Worse, they have never spoken to my son's school that he was at for 7 years. They have deliberately avoided speaking to my son's school so they can follow the narrative of my son's mother, who's claiming living in fear, domestic abuse, and control and coercion from nowhere, no evidence, no history, nothing. Now, in that 35-page report written by CAFCAS, there is not one sentence about me as a father. In fact, the entire report focuses from April the 15th, 2022 onwards. There is no mention of anything in my son's life prior to April the 15th, 2022. Almost as if that 10 years never existed. So what they've done is gone to Worcester, taken the narrative, and then done a report based on the narrative. Now, my son's headmaster and school governor were so shocked at the report that they contacted CAFCAS themselves. They rung 11 times and were ignored. Now, on the CAFCAS report, this is what they said. Although the school headmaster and school governor were trying to ring us, we didn't take their information because we see it as irrelevant. I'm going to tell you another thing on CAFCAS's recommendation. So, right today, I'm 2 years, 9 days without hearing them speaking or loving my son. Their recommendation says this. Listen to this. This is the clearest case of parental alienation any man has ever known. My son was taken on April the 15th, and not just me, my entire family haven't heard from their son. No neighbours, no friends, no one we've ever known has heard from my son again since April the 15th, 2022. Despite the bail when I was arrested by her fake allegation saying that I should be seeing my son every day. No one has heard from my son. And this is what CAFCAS have put on their report. After our investigation, listen to this, we see no sign of parental alienation in this case. That's what they've written. So I'm going to say this to CAFCAS, looking at the camera. I need someone to explain that. I need someone to explain to me how whoever investigated this case has come to the conclusion that there is no parental alienation in this case. You have never, ever visited me, my son's school. You've done everything to support the narrative of my son's mother. To the point, it's that bad that my first question in court was, is there a conflict of interest here? Are you friends with my son's mother? You live in Worcester. The report is written as if you're her best mate. No mention of me as a father. Everything before April the 15th is seen as irrelevant. That's something else CAFCAS never did. I was found not guilty, remember, in a criminal court. Not guilty of anything. So my son has been taken to Worcester based on a fake allegation. They have never mentioned that I was found not guilty anywhere. In fact, you're going to love this. I was found not guilty of anything, which is correct. I did nothing. Yet in court, the barrister that stood up for my son's mother said this to the court, and they accepted this. Although Mr. Dean was found not guilty of the allegation made by Miss Mason, on the 15th of April 2022, I think we can all assume he must have done something. I mean, it's so sick. So, after doing a 35-page report, imagine this, whatever my son's mother is saying, that's what they're going with, right? But this is the worst bit. There is no record on their report or mentioned in court of any interview with the mother ever done. So they've said that they've interviewed the mother twice, but there's no record of it. My 4-minute interview, she went into that for 2 hours. And when I said there's no interview with the mother, they said, oh no, we did interview the mother, we just never recorded it. Then Kafkas said in court, listen to this, and this is how they do the narrative. And what happened is the son did contact me in October to do another interview with the son. And I said, hang on a minute, my son's got your phone number, has he? My son rung you, did he? This is what I said in court. I said, how did my son ring you to do a second interview? How did he contact you? She went, oh, sorry, that was wrong. The mother contacted me to do a second report. So I said, let me just get this right. The first interview you done with my son was because the mother invited you over, and now she's done a second interview. And look at what this second interview is. So on the 15th of April 2022, and for the 10 years previous, my son entirely loved me. Couldn't have a better daddy. Amazing. Yet my son, 2 years after being parental alienated that Kafkas don't recognise, has now written a letter saying he no longer wants a relationship with his father. He also wrote, this is the most ridiculous sentence I've ever heard, I'm thinking of being a professional footballer. How would I stop my daddy going to the stadiums when I'm older? And Kafkas don't even notice parental alienation. Now, if you look up what parental alienation is, Kafkas should be fully aware when a son's attitude towards one parent differs because of the effect of parental alienation. They never mentioned it. They just run with it. Something else Kafkas wrote on the report. My son now suffers from a stutter through his worry. He never had that in the 10 years that I was in his life. My son is now seeing a psychotherapist. He's never had that in his life when he was in my life. And these are all things done by the mother to emphasise and push through this fear. And Kafkas run with it. And guess what Kafkas recommend to the judge? So after being 10 years of an amazing daddy, 10 years of totally supporting my son's mum and my son, 7 years of private education, a daddy that's watched everything his son has ever been involved in, they recommended to the judge that due to the fear that her and my son are living in, that the best thing to do is that I write my son a letter once a month to a P.O. box of his mother's choosing. The judge said, what we're going to do, we're going to be very generous and we're going to allow that to happen. So I've now gone from a daddy involved in his son's life every day for 10 years to a system stealing my son, and now recommended I write him a letter. When I then said, what stops a mother just getting my letter? She has parental alienated my son for 2 years, 10 days. Why would she now open a letter I send? What stops her throwing it in the bin? Do you know what the court said to me? We're powerless about that. So I'm going to let you know. On December the 13th, 2023, that was my final court case, and they were the recommendations from Kafkas. After never meeting me, never visiting my son's school, never visiting his home, and speaking to no human that was ever in my life. And the entire report is built from the 15th of the 4th, 2022 onwards, and anything prior to the 15th of the 4th, 2022 they see as irrelevant. So, you tell me. So you imagine how I felt on the 13th of December 2023. That's Kafkas for you. An utter disgrace. And I'm going to look at Kafkas now. Anyone's watching this from Kafkas, someone's got to explain to me how you stole my son. It's utterly disgusting.
If you like Deano stories and you want more, and you've got stories of your own that you want told, get in contact and we can sort something out.
Your first little wobble, your small tiny feet, your first horse, first